Alright you guys, got a 20-minute game on the board against a player rated 908, and I've got the white pieces. I started with e4, d5, so we've got the Scandinavian defence. I must put my glasses on so I look clever. Okay, the modern variation. Okay, I know what to do here. Don't try and hang on to this pawn, basically. It'll slow you down in development. Okay, I'm going to ring this knight out to defend this pawn. So at 900, we're looking at blunders, guys. I mean, this is the thing. The bottom line is memorising opening theory, all that kind of stuff only takes you so far as a beginner, because most games are decided by blunders, quite simply. Okay, so he's kicked my bishop. Slightly weakening the pawns here. Is he going to do a double kick? He is. So I come down to b3. I'm now looking at this knight, which is defended by the queen. This pawn is defended. Okay, now I can castle if I wish. I could attack the knight. Pawn takes, bishop takes. Nothing really gained by that. Let's castle, get the rook onto the e-file. Black hasn't castled yet, but could in 2 moves. So he has played a few pawn moves. See, these 2 moves, although they look kind of helpful, they are 2 moves that you are not spending developing your pieces. Okay, so he's getting ready to castle now. Bishop's looking down at h2. Now with these advanced pawns here, how does that affect things? I want to get my dark squared bishop, I think, onto this nice diagonal. That would be good. So I'm kind of inclined to push in the middle, take out the b pawn, get my bishop on here, then get my other bishop on there. So it's half a plan, you know, but it's a plan. Opponent's from Russia, and I think the username is meant to be something Cyrillic, but well, that's just surely a blunder, isn't it? He's now attacking 2 knights. There's no kind of check idea. So now I'm attacking the bishop and the knight. You see, blunders. That's all it is. Moving your piece onto a square where it can simply be taken with no counter-attack and no compensation. It's just a blunder. Now he's going to lose another piece, I think. I mean, he can come in with that. I just take with the pawn. Then if bishop moves, I'll swap queens. Okay, so let's take the knight. I'm up 2 pieces already. Wow. Yeah, take that with the queen because I'm now threatening queen takes f7. I'm also threatening the rook. This is too easy. Just shows how one blunder can make all the difference. Okay, I'm going to put queen here. So this is good. Actually, bringing the bishop out was a really good move because it also does a discover defense on the rook. I think he's going to have to move his bishop back again, yeah. Okay. So I'm going to put my queen back here. If he does this, I'm going to swap queens off. I'm well up in material. I've got 2 knights. My opponent's lost both of his knights. Okay, now I can just take that. And checkmate. Alright. So if you want a rematch, do you want a rematch? So the first thing, basically, if you're under 1000 rated, cutting out the 1-move blunders is all you need to do. Okay, he's not gone for that. Let's see if we can pick up another. This one's 12:35. Okay, we've got a 12:35 game. Alright, I'm going to play the French because it's what I'm used to. This is interesting. Steiner variation, Okay. So this is... So what he's doing is he's preventing me from playing d5, because he'll take with that pawn. So I'm just going to have to freestyle. So my plan is let him take the centre. I'll play a hyper-modern game. I'm going to fianchetto both bishops. So his pawn's defended once, his pawn is undefended. Okay. Fianchetto, fianchetto, Figaro. Alright, I've got one attacker on here. Now knight to here would put two attackers on it. Might prompt him to push. And that's no bad thing. But I'd like to have moved this pawn first, because if my knight gets kicked from here, I'd like to go back to d7. So I'm going to play d6. This is very unlike me, giving my opponent this really solid setup in the middle. However, I'm counting... Oh, he's got two defenders now on that pawn. There's no point putting a second attacker on and maybe prompting the push. I might just play my knights to here. It's becoming a kind of hippopotamus, isn't it? This is what the hippopotamus defense is like. Both knights in the middle, then push these pawns, castle. Now what is the general approach? Right, it looks as though we've got hippo time. Okay, we've just had a conversation about this in the YouTube comments. You don't capture here. You just crack on. Alright, I've got one attacker on there, but its attacker is actually pinned right now. Let's bring the knight out. This is fine. Now the queen can't come in, you see. Okay, I'm now going to push h5, just to prevent ideas of this pawn causing trouble. See, with all this pawn action, he does have lots of space, which means he's got control over squares on my side of the board with queen and knight and all good things. Wow. Oh, he's going for it, isn't he? I think I kind of need to take... Well, it's a free pawn anyway. I can get my rook onto here. Could even block off there as well. That'd be fine. Yeah, I'm going to put my rook on h8 now. Idea is bringing my rook to there. This pawn's undefended. Still undefended. So I think... So if I take there, he takes there. That's kind of okay. Also, kind of maybe open up a line towards that. So look at this. This pawn moves. This pawn takes there. This guy's the only shield for that rook from my bishop. It's on this lovely long diagonal. Alright, so we're a pawn up. King is not snug, but then white has failed to castle. All the way home. So I'm inclined to bust up in the middle. Yeah, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 pieces all looking at this square, right? He's got 1, 2. Now if he takes, I just take his rook, so hey, sue me. Now, do I capture here? Bishop recaptures, now my knight's kind of vulnerable. I'll capture here. Somehow I want to capture that way. Now I have a plan. Okay, tactic. Right, follow through this. Bishop takes knight. Bishop takes, so that's an equal trade. Now I have a discovery against the queen, and I have this, check. But then, if I play knight there, he plays knight there, and I can't take the queen because Knight simply recaptures. You see? Knight takes, bishop takes, knight to here, knight takes, if queen takes queen, no, I don't win anything, I actually lose a piece that way. Okay, I'm not worried about this pawn. Is there any other kind of combination of that? No, I don't think there is. Alright, so now, what is the best move? How about this? F6, attacking the knight. If pawn takes, and then the knight's pinned on the rook, yeah? So let's try that one. But this bad habit of making a move and then checking for threats. You have to check for threats before you commit to the move. I just noticed I did that. I moved the pawn and then thought, where's this knight going to go? And has he got any scary moves? Well, he doesn't. Takes. He can move here. Well, now I'm attacking your knight with the pawn, yeah? Okay, he's resigned. Yeah, you see, it's another blunder. And this guy's 1235, right? I think it's a blunder. Because he just loses, here he loses his knight. He can't capture the knight because queen's defending. I just need to step my king out of the way at some point. Yeah? I'm also attacking this bishop. I've also got a discovery against this rook. His king's out in the open. Not great, not great. But again, decided by blunders. And he's got 10 minutes left on the clock. Right? Oh no, he hasn't. He had 8 minutes 12 left on the clock out of a 10-minute game. Right, this is what happens. It's the blunders. It's just the blunders. Okay, so how do you cut out the blunders? Well, you have to get into the habit of talking to yourself like a madman. Okay, what's going on the board? Talk it out loud. Please, talk it out loud. Okay, I'm attacking your knight. Right, so if I was white at this point, I'd be going, all right, okay, f5. So, what's changed? Well, the pawn isn't defending that, the pawn isn't defending that anymore. This is still defended, that's defended by the knight, but this pawn is attacking my knight. See, just look at the piece that's moved, right? Look at any new lines that have been created, but more importantly, look at any new threats. This pawn is now looking at this pawn, which is undefended, and this knight, which is defended, but it's a pawn. So I've got to move my knight. No brainer. So just drop the knight back, or even into here. And then this move, pawn takes knight, bishop's under attack. So what's going to happen now? Don't know. Bishop here, pawn advances, maybe, no? Bishop there, I'll probably just take it. So he can't really go there or there. Is he going to drop all the way back here? I don't know. Now, you're going to push forward, attack this rook. Rook's going to have to move. Yeah, it's just a nasty situation. But you know, white had a good position, we have to say. I mean, look at what I let him do. So I played this very ultra-modern kind of setup with the fianchetto bishops kind of scissoring towards the centre, but I'm delaying competing for the centre in the opening. So this is what the King's Indian defence, Peart's defence sometimes will do, and also obviously the kind of hippopotamus hippo style, right? That's what it does, but it will sometimes confuse your opponent because they don't know really how to respond to it. Now, I've faced openings like this a lot. I don't know if the hippo counts as the dumbass opening. I think it probably doesn't. It looks kind of solid, but it's kind of a tortoise style, you know, you just curl up into your shell and wait for your opponent to get bored. So this is unnecessary, I think, really. Because I'm never going to capture that bishop, so it's kind of a waste of a move. So now he's going up with the pawn. I respond with h5, just trying to prevent that idea. Then he comes up with the g-pawn, which is good, and I'm thinking at this point, wow, I've got a game on my hands here. This guy is, he's coming for my king, he knows what, what to do. Yes, he's delayed castling, but look what he's got. 5 pawns on the 4th rank, huge control over the board, right? I am very much constrained here. But I decide I can take for free. The knight retreats. Rook comes over. It's a good prophylactic move. So if he takes, I might take back with the pawn. Sorry, if he advances. But also I know that this is also pinning his pawn because that rook is undefended. And you know these things when you do two things. Look at the board and talk to yourself. Free pawn. Yeah, it's just a minor mistake. Takes. Advance. So now I'm looking at breaking things open here. Why? Because he hasn't castled. Right? He's playing tactics before he's completed development. And this, you know, there is an argument to say, yes, go for the opponent's king. Okay? But he can't actually capture there because his pawn's pinned on the rook. So you can go for a tactical attack before completing development, right? But you really do need to make sure that it's a convincing attack. You're either going to have to checkmate your opponent forcibly or gain a significant advantage that will compensate you for the weakness of having an uncastled king. And I don't think that was, right? And this just ended it. 8 minutes 12 left on the clock out of 10-minute game. And did he just miss this? He was thinking about his own ideas, right? He was thinking about pinning this knight. And he just missed the obvious. So we just got to stop doing that, guys. It's all about the blunders. That's it. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you later.